The tub is over.
Oh, the tub's been over, yeah. I lost $427.50 in the tub. It was not a good year. Happy to be here with you, as always. My name is Chuck Burge, and my co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney, and our guest of the day, Mr. BJ Greising. BJ, welcome, buddy.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
We're happy to have you here. Why don't, before we get into some sports, let me tell you briefly, everybody in the audience, what the show is about. This show is to help support the guys that are going through some physical and some mental issues, and if we can help take their mind off what they're going through for an hour every week, and you do the same, this world will be a better place. We've talked about all along as about guys getting their numbers checked and getting we started without him and getting their health right. Well, I did that. I went and had my numbers checked, and fortunately, I do not have prostate cancer. But we uncovered a couple of other answers, a couple other issues.
He's still got a big ass.
A big prostate, but we won't go into that. But it's good to know where you are. You got to take care of yourself, guys, mentally and physically. So don't forget to do that. Well, we are going to be talking about some sports. We're also going to introduce our new segment today called Stump ATI, Adam the Intern. If you can stump Adam the Intern, we have this little bitty mini helmet with Grady Jarrett's autograph on it that we will give you. So that should be fun. Robert thinks he's going to get it. But before we get into the show, well, let me give you the number first, 470-7-SPORTS, 470-7-SPORTS, if you want to contact us about anything that we're talking about, and specifically to ask a question of ATI, which we'll do in the second segment.
I just wanted to say on that opening music, we now have our own music. I thought Bon Scott was getting ready to bust out at some point.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Pretty driving music, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Well, to drive home, people can listen to the show. So before we get into it, BJ, why don't you give us a 30-second spill on CMIT Solutions?
Sure. I appreciate that. Computer and technology is inherent to modern business from sole entrepreneur on up. Unfortunately, the risk of ransomware, malware, and the task of data and machine security are inherent to those computers and technology. Years ago, small business felt like they were not a target and waited until they could hire an IT team. Today, small business is a target from day one, and CMIT Solutions is here to help. We provide network management and monitoring, along with data security and business continuity support to small business. Please follow CMIT Solutions on social media. Give us a call, 770-628-5654.
That BJ's got a radio voice, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. All right, let's get into some sports. This was a really crazy weekend. There were a lot of stories that we wanted to go over that we're going to brief by quickly because of other things that have happened. But I did want to talk real quickly. Novak Djokovic wins the Australian Open, number 22. I believe he's the greatest tennis player ever. And that's coming from somebody that loved Bjorn Borg and Jimmy Connors and all those guys of the 70s. But I think that Novak has surpassed all of them. He's got 22 wins now.
22.
And I think he's the best ever. I think he'll get 23 before anybody else will.
Well, I believe, as you do, that Novak is a clear number one. I mean, you look at the top three in Grand Slam wins, it's Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, 22, 22, and 20. Now, with that said, Federer turned pro in 98. He was 17 years old. Nadal followed in 2001. He was 15 years old. And Novak Djokovic showed up at 15 years old himself in 2003. So Federer had a 5-year head start, and that might have well been dog years.
Yeah.
You know, those 5 years that he had a running start on it, it is incredibly challenging for someone to show up and challenge folks that are going to be on that pantheon, on that Mount Rushmore of tennis in the future between Federer and Nadal. Djokovic shows up as the kid, and it doesn't defeat his mentality. He instead rises up to the challenge, and he only works harder. And not only does he have to go through one of these guys, you know, routinely he was meeting the other one in the semi to get to a final.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think Tsitsipas is the new kid on the block. I mean, I think he's 25 now, but I think he's the next major winner that isn't one of these three guys.
And,
I
and
really
how
like
many
him.
majors does he have so far?
Nada.
Thank you. He's got a long way to go. You know, when you look at it, you know, parity is what's going on in tennis for the last 20 years. You know, a long time ago, yes, Bill Tilden was awesome. Yes, this person was awesome. But who were they really playing against? How many people were pushing products? Everything's top notch. Everybody's wearing the best shoes and has the best racket and everything else. And these three kick everybody else's butt. So whether Djokovic is the number one or Nadal or maybe Federer by one, you know, there's clearly three people on the Mount Rushmore, and they all played each other.
Absolutely. So, like I said, we're going to move through this quickly. The other big happening for me of the weekend was Rory staring down Patrick Reed. You knew that was coming up,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Robert?
we knew it was coming.
I absolutely love it. Patrick Reed, his little sissy butt, flipping a T at Rory with the LIV logo on
The
it.
opposite ends of the spectrum for Chuck.
Opposite ends of the
Rory?
spectrum.
Patrick.
Yeah. No, it's more like Rory way over there, Patrick. Yeah. So I was very happy to see Rory win the Dubai Classic for his third time. And it sets up a lot of great golf talk as we get into the major season starting in March. Really, I guess the TPC Sawgrass is March, and then we get into the Masters in April. So we'll be talking a good bit of golf, right?
Oh yeah, it's never going away. As long as Mr. Burge is sitting to my left, by golly, we're going to cover the
We're going to cover the majors. There's no doubt about that.
and probably a few of the other tournaments.
Yeah, and possibly the Tour Championship. We got to cover that. Yeah.
Well, Rory and Patrick went stroke for stroke
On
in the
Sunday.
first two rounds.
Yeah, oh, first
right?
two rounds. Yep.
I mean, they were both -6 on the first day, -2 on the second day, -8 after that second day going into it, and then it
Rory
was
shoots a 65
Oh.
on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, Roy was a 68 on Sunday, and Patrick was a 65.
Yeah. Rory actually lost by
No,
three
no.
on Sunday. Yes.
The final round was on Monday.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, in the final round, it was Rory. You know,
68.
it was Patrick had
And
a
Patrick
3-stroke better
65.
day.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But he was 4 back. So yeah. Go Rory. That's all I say. Rory's two days younger than my oldest son, so I'm a big
Okay.
Rory fan.
Well, I am as well, but it's fun to see some challenge there, and even more fun to see some personality. Whether
Patrick Reed has no personality.
Yeah, speaking of personality, I remember when McIlroy first came up and everybody was talking to him, and he's not from Liverpool, but I believe he's right outside of Liverpool.
Yeah.
And they asked him, they said, "Can you name the 4 Beatles?" And he went,
Japanese
No.
Beetle. No.
and it was just walked away from it.
Yeah.
Rory is from Northern Ireland.
Yeah. He is, but he is the voice of the PGA now.
Oh, clearly.
There is no doubt about that. Yeah.
a little ways from Liverpool.
All right. So the other big news of the weekend is
Across the Isle of Man.
Purdue is the unanimous number one. First time a team's been unanimous number one all year, right? is Purdue. I think that's right.
Yeah, I believe so.
Sounds
Yeah,
right.
but Purdue is the new straight out number one. They got a big game coming up this week. Indiana, is that right? On Saturday,
Yes, at
they
Assembly
played
Hall.
Indiana on Saturday. And just for a little bit of college basketball, we got to throw in the KSU Owls, who are now 17-6 and number 23 in one of the mid-major polls, which is an amazing thing. Very, very happy.
That is the dumbest poll I've ever seen in my life, though.
Why is that poll dumb, Robert?
Because when you look at the garbage that's above them in the mid-major poll,
Yeah.
it's like KSU should be, getting ready to garner their first actual vote in the actual
AP poll.
poll.
In the AP poll.
And I'm looking at this list. Are you kidding me? They'd clear the courts with half of those teams. So.
Yeah. So Liberty's still, I think Liberty's now number one in the mid-major poll, and we play them on the 16th here at the Convocation Center, which is going to be an amazing game. And if you want to listen at 7 o'clock, we're going to be giving away some tickets to that game too. So look forward to that, and we look forward to more college basketball as football wraps up.
Hey, I do want to point out one thing that talking about stumping ATI, which actually it was called Ask ATI, but that's just me, the creative person here. It's all good. He, you know what didn't stump ATI? Alabama. He said they stunk last week and they got walked on by Oklahoma.
They got spanked.
I could not believe how poor. I kept waiting for that to change, and really they didn't drop very far in the polls. They only moved to fourth.
Well, last night I was watching Alabama, and they were up 42-14 on Vanderbilt. I said, I think this game's over.
Yeah, and I think they're taking out their frustrations from Oklahoma, but it wasn't even like a good Oklahoma team that was beating them. So
Yeah. So if anybody's got a question for ATI, we will take it after this next commercial. And Robert, let's go ahead and talk about some Modern Image.
Modern Image is a locally owned document and photograph scanning company that helps clients secure and use paper files and photos. Whether it's important business files or sentimental family photos and videos, Modern Image is dedicated to helping clients solve problems around paper. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
No. Okay. All right. So thank you, David McDonough, for being a sponsor, as always, at Modern Image. We appreciate your support of the shows. So, Robert, I heard you have a question for ATI.
I do. I made a big easy one here. Multiple choice. It doesn't get.
Oh,
it doesn't-
multiple choice. That's not Stump ATI.
It's because of how difficult I knew everybody else was going to make the questions.
Oh, okay.
So, the category is Purdue.
We lost your volume.
Yeah, we
Adam.
can't hear you, but it's okay. I know you're talking. So, the Boilermakers have had a nickname before they were the Boilermakers. I'm going to give you 6 choices to come up with the correct one. Are you correct?
Do you know
Are
it?
ready?
Adam, do you know it without the...
Okay.
Okay, Larry, we can't hear him at all. I don't know what you did different from where we heard him earlier.
There,
Oh,
it
there
is.
you go.
There we
That was
go.
a click.
Yes, there
All
we
right,
go.
here
Yeah.
you go. Your 6 choices.
I have 6.
You have 6 choices. I got to muddy the
That's
water
fair.
to make sure.
Yeah.
They are the Grangers, the Pumpkin Shuckers, the Rail Splitters, Cornfield Sailors, Blacksmiths, or the Foundry Hands.
Okay.
Bum, 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 bum,
So,
bum, bum,
I know what John Purdue did.
bum, bum.
I'm guessing he
He made boilers.
made boilers.
Yes.
If ATI is wrong, I want to take a guess.
Hey, I think you should.
Okay.
And ATI, there's a lot of people who are dying to know who retired today, so just don't wait like 19 minutes before
Yeah.
you guess.
I'm going to go with the blacksmiths or the smiths.
The Blacksmiths. That's the final answer.
Yes.
Chuck, if you had to guess, what would your guess be?
The Foundry makers or whatever it is.
The correct answer is all 6 of those team names have been used by the Purdue University. So, yes,
So ipso facto, you did not stump ATI.
absolutely. Oh, yeah, he didn't. I absolutely did because he had no idea that they were all 6. As soon as he heard pumpkin shuckers, he should have known, hey, wait, that's my alma mater. Those are the guys who I love. Although he is a
So is ATI 0-1 or is he 1-1?
No, you.
Oh,
you,
he
you
is so-
asked me. You asked me for a nickname. I gave you one of our nicknames.
And it was right.
You cannot
You-
definitively
you-
tell me that I didn't know that they were
okay.
all nicknames.
Hey, cut his mic. He's done.
He's done.
He's 0-1.
All right, we're going to get into the biggest news of the day.
That was as easy as it's going to get for you, sir.
Yeah, you don't want my question if you got that one. The biggest issue of the day is Mr. Tom Brady, number 12, hanging it up. Is he finally done?
Does anybody care?
There are some people that do. There are a lot of
Yeah,
Tom Brady fans out
There's a lot
there.
of people from Vermont who are really
The syrup makers.
the syrup makers, the pumpkin eaters.
Syrup makers.
pumpkin
this is in the-
shuckers.
Pumpkin,
Pumpkin
pumpkin
shuckers.
shuckers. A whole bunch of shucking people. Yeah. So we all thought, everybody that I talked to that was a big Brady fan thought Tom was coming back for one more year to play somewhere, be it not in Tampa Bay, but they thought maybe Vegas. They thought maybe Miami. Miami said last week they didn't care anything about having Brady. I know the Raiders was an option. And, of course, with all the problems that San Francisco had with quarterback this week, everybody thought San Francisco might become an option for a year, but didn't happen that way. So fare thee well, Tom Brady, right?
You know, if you get an old quarterback, you're probably going to have to change your nomenclature to where he understands exactly, he's not going to be able to learn your whole new system. So if the time's ticking, there really aren't a lot of options for a guy to come in and start dominating. But, I do want to point out, in his final season, he threw 799 passes, more than 50 more than the second-place quarterback in the NFL. So when everybody starts telling you how old and washed up, man, the dude's got an arm that will never stop. If he wanted to chuck it deep at 65, he could do it.
Well, first of all, he was not going to tuck and run, so he had to get rid of the ball. And secondly, they did a decent job of keeping him upright. So,
Well,
he
because
was able to keep
because
He
Keep
gets rid of the
chucking.
ball
Gets rid
so
of it so
quickly.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he was like less than 2.3 seconds or whatever. The ball was out of
Yeah,
there.
he's certainly become a quick release specialist of late. But any team that was thinking about picking him up for a season, his style of play is so out of sync with most of the league that not only do they have to adjust their vocabulary, they have to adjust their system.
Yeah, I got to go get a wide receiver who can go super deep because we're not running 12-yard slants
in
and everything
1.5
else.
seconds, so Brady can
Yes.
throw it deep. Yeah, there are not a lot of quick receivers like that. Good riddance to Tom. He's got his own
Good
clothing
riddance.
line, and I think he signed a $375 million contract to be on Fox Sports for the next 10 years. So I don't think he jumps in with I heard today he might jump it right in with Kevin Burkhardt and go from there as the number one guy,
I just
replacing Greg Olson.
I just want to say, as a Falcon and a Bill fan, enjoy yourself, sucker. Bye. Go. Bye. Just go.
So you're saying you're happy Tom's gone?
No, I'm really going to miss him.
So
Well,
the next
good news is you'll see him in the booth all the time.
All the time.
So
No,
he's
I'm
really
only
not going.
I'm only
all
going to
that
listen
far.
to the Romo games.
We talked about this a little bit off the air before the show. So Jim Nance and Tony Romo are the pair. I love to listen to them. Love to watch them. Jim Nance is just a class guy, and Romo is so knowledgeable about what's going on. And he'll say, "Okay, here's what they're going to do." Blah 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 blah. And he's not always right, but he's right a lot more than he is wrong. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I really enjoy that part of the Nance and Romo pair. And, Jim Nance has been around a long time now. A long time. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Billy Packer passing away this week. Packer was a big basketball guy.
And man-to-man.
Yep. He called, 40 or 30 Final Fours, Billy Packer did. Amazing guy. So I will miss his voice. He was around for a long time. I enjoyed that.
And it was always nice because no matter who he was ever doing a game with, they knew to shut up for the first 5 seconds so he could let you know what kind of defense the opening, and they're coming out in the 2-3.
And boxing one or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Billy Packer was awesome.
He was.
He was awesome. All right, so we're obviously into football now. We're going to probably stay in football for the rest of the show unless something comes up. But let's talk a little bit about the championship games this weekend, starting with the first one, Philadelphia and San Francisco. How unmuch fun was the game was that? I mean, it was horrible, wasn't it?
The word bludgeoned
Yeah.
comes to mind.
Yeah.
I actually, I took a chance to, I had a chance to make a little wager on the game, and I know you and I both said San Francisco before the playoffs, but I took the Eagles, and I'm really glad I did. That was, it just goes to show you how quickly a game can go south if your starting quarterback's not part of the game anymore.
Absolutely. Well, not only he was still part of the game, he just couldn't throw the ball.
Well, but he wasn't for a while.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when Johnson got hurt and it was obviously a concussion and he came running right back out. I'm like, okay, if he can play right now, he should have been in the whole time, and
Yeah.
it was clear that he couldn't.
He could play. He couldn't pass.
He couldn't throw the
He
ball.
could hand the ball off, and that was about it. So the game was over when Purdy got hurt, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
clearly.
So was there any reason to watch the game from that point on? I mean, there really wasn't. Philadelphia's bragging about, we beat San Francisco. No, you beat a team that could not throw the ball. You loaded up the box and you stopped the run. And Robert made the point before the show that, you can run against a loaded box like that. If you get one clear hole and the guy goes breaks the hole, he's gone, right? So how cool is that?
Well, I'll say this for Philadelphia. I don't think any team has ever made it to the Super Bowl while facing less stiff quarterback competition on the way. They got, what's the guy from the Giants? Daniel Jones, followed by Purdy and Josh Johnson. Yeah, poor Joe Burrow was going to have to beat. Had Lamar not been hurt, he was going to have to beat Lamar and then Allen and then Mahomes just to get there. Not quite the same.
Yeah. So, Robert and I both had weeks ago. We had Buffalo playing San Francisco in the Super Bowl, and now we can start all over again because both of our teams are gone.
That is true.
Yeah, BJ, what was your take on that game?
Well, you have to look at that Eagles offense. They put up 3 touchdowns just rushing against the Giants, and then 4 touchdowns against the Niners.
Yeah.
That's really not only moving the ball and putting up points, they're eating a lot of clock, and they just put them right on their heels. And of course, as soon as Purdy was out, the wind fell out of the bag for the Niners on both sides of the ball. But regardless, the Eagles were my favorite going in, days ahead of it, and they certainly delivered. So I was pleased. It came out about as I expected.
But go ahead, Robert.
I was just gonna touch on a point that he made with the rushing touchdowns. They now have 39 rushing touchdowns, which is the most by any team ever in NFL history for a single season, including playoffs. They beat out the Yellow Jackets from 1924.
The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets?
No. It was not the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. A little town in Pennsylvania had a NFL team at that point.
Yeah,
The Yellow Jackets.
There's a great, like a 54-minute video on YouTube about the expansions of the NFL, how it started. Have you ever seen that?
I have
And
not.
all the different teams. It's an amazing thing to watch.
Is it the old guy who does the NFL Films voice?
Ray Scott?
I
or whoever it
can
was?
listen to that dude read the phone book.
No, it's not the same guy, but it's a really, really good video. You need to watch it sometime.
Hey, Adam's giving me really mean looks like he wants to come and fight me because he didn't like my question. Just throwing that out there.
I have a counterpoint. Purdue teams were called that. The university has only ever been called the Boilermakers. You didn't say teams. You said university.
Cut the mic. He's still on
He's-
the wrong on the wrong page.
He's on page 2. We're on page 6.
Some people should just be happy that their team's number 1 in the nation.
Yeah, and we'll probably stay that way for a while. Yeah.
I can't wait for next week's question.
Yeah, there you go. So let's move on to the Kansas City and Cincinnati game. To me, a very, very sad game. Great game. I enjoyed watching the game, but I really hated to see the way it ended. Osai, was that the guy's name that tackled the Mahomes out of bounds?
Yeah.
Very sad to see him sit on the sidelines at the end of the game and just cry for minutes and minutes and minutes. I feel bad. I think if you're pursuing somebody like that, like a Mahomes, who he knows is hurt, but you're just so into the game. I don't think he meant to hurt.
Oh, he
Mahomes.
definitely didn't, but
He's
it
just
was clear that you don't think it wasn't a penalty, do you?
no, I don't. I totally agree it was a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you just get so wrapped up in what you're doing, and you may not see the sidelines or whatever.
Correct. He's looking at
just
his
wanted-
helmet and his jersey and everything else. He's not looking at the ground.
When he even said, or somebody said for him, that he was trying to push Mahomes backwards so the clock wouldn't stop when he went out of bounds, so that the clock would run out and they'd go straight to overtime, which makes sense to me.
Well, the Bengals punted the ball with 41 seconds left. Sky Moore, who's had a horrible rookie year,
That's the best return of the year.
returns at 29 yards, and then you get Mahomes on a 5-yard run with 15 added to it. How can they go down the field? Well, they're going to get 60 yards on 2 plays,
Yeah.
and that's your ball game.
And who kicked that ball to win?
Your
win
boy
that game?
Butker.
My boy Harrison Butker out of Georgia Tech. So I'm very happy to see that. Yeah. Like I said, and I said last week, I did pick Cincinnati. I said I want Kansas City to win, but I really thought Cincinnati would be. Now, there are a lot of talk about did the referees blow this game. I thought the referees called a very fair game.
They did.
I don't think there was any favoritism in the game. They called the right game. Even when they gave them a one play all over, it was right.
That was the correct play.
Yeah,
correct.
they showed the linemen or whoever coming in saying, hey, the clock shouldn't have been running. And I know that Zach Wilson was upset about that. Is that his name, Zach? No, Zach Taylor, the Cincinnati coach, about it.
Zach Wilson's hunting
The
milfs
quarterback.
right now. He doesn't care.
Yeah, that's Sean's boy. So I thought it was a good game. I think Mahomes showed a lot of grit playing in that game because there were a couple of times where you could tell he was hobbling.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah, when he was rolling to his left and trying to throw back to the right and had to push off that right high ankle sprain.
Well, and that 15-yard penalty on the Mahomes run was actually more yards than Mahomes picked up running the football the entire game.
Oh, yeah.
So, that just showed how much that ankle was affecting him. And, now he's got 2 weeks, and we can expect a little bit different Patrick Mahomes in Arizona.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope 2 weeks is enough to help him heal. High ankle sprains are tough to deal with. So out of the 2 teams that lost, the Niners and the Bengals, who's coming back? Got to be the Bengals, right?
Is this the consolation game question?
Is this coming back to the playoffs or coming back
to the playoffs next year, or let's say to the championship next year?
I think both of them will be in the playoffs. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I don't think San Francisco will be. I think they've got too much turmoil on the quarterback situation.
They're going to start
They
Trey
gotta
Lance
start-
next year, and
They got to start all over
we're
for
never
the
going to
quarterback
remember.
position.
20 years from now, we're going to stump ATI on what was that quarterback's name from San Francisco?
But
what
he's
was his
the
name?
one with the broken leg, right? The broken tibia or fibia. Isn't that Lance?
Correct.
Yes.
Those aren't easy to come back from.
They're not. But I think this injury, clearly if this was a decent game and it's close, he's your starting quarterback week 1 next year.
You think so?
I do, but I do not anymore.
Yeah.
I think he is. I think that door is wide open.
Yeah.
Well, San Francisco's got a number of guys a number of players that they've got locked in for next year, but not beyond. So at this point, the question is, and to add to that, they've proven they can plug in
Anybody.
Adam the intern at quarterback
Oh,
Damn.
let's not go that far.
and and have a chance on any given Sunday. So they're going to bring that roster back in large part. They're going to find a quarterback, go get one there, or they're going to give Trey Lance a shot and then trade out midseason, something along that line.
They're going to be good, and I never the Rams surprised me when they won the Super Bowl
And tanked.
and it wasn't so much tank this year. This is kind of what I thought they would do last year when they got Stafford. So I'm not looking for them to rebound and go back to Super Bowl level football. So you got the Cardinals, which kind of look like a garbage fire with a lot of talent. Seattle, nobody else has ever won with Geno, and this team. So, I think this team will be back in the playoffs. And
I believe they will. I mean, you look across the league at the number of teams that are struggling at quarterback, which is one of the reasons that a lot of guys are coming out of college or coming into the draft this year, is because there's so much opportunity out there. But there's going to be a lot of raw talent behind center next year. And for other teams that aren't as stacked as the 49ers, I think they're going to struggle more so. And I think the Niners will go in. Will they go deep? I don't think so, for the same reasons.
Yeah.
It'll actually be magnified next year.
It will be magnified, and hopefully Christian McCaffrey can get through a season without being hurt. He did kind of this year. I think he had a minor injury, but nothing that kept him out for 5 or 6 games like he has in the years past. If they keep McCaffrey, if they keep Kittle and Ayuk and what's the other wide receiver name, Deebo Samuels, they got a good core of skill positions and a good defense.
That running back position, how many years are you getting out of it? McCaffrey's been leading. He's probably led the league at least 3 times in touches since he came to the league. So, one of the, that it's just a cliff that's waiting. Is it next year in week 2 or is it the year after in week 3? I don't know. But sooner or later, he's, not going to be the starting running back.
The shelf is a short-lived place, yeah.
Absolutely.
If they keep using him the same way. Agreed.
Which he's on that team.
Yep.
They're going to use him.
Yeah, and somewhere other than quarterback. Yeah, which it was funny to see him play. Well, she knew something was going to come up. One in the Wildcat with McCaffrey, and I know he threw a couple of touchdowns this year. One in the very first game he played, I think he had a receiving touchdown, a running touchdown, and a passing touchdown.
In his first game.
With San Francisco. Right. Yeah, so really good, talented athlete if he can stay healthy. So, but I think all three have to agree that Joe Burrow is he might be the face of the future at quarterback in the league. I mean, look at the receiving crew he's got.
Yeah, I mean
Boyd, Chase, and
he's got a lot of talent. But it's hard for me to say anybody is the face of the NFL besides Patrick Mahomes. His face is always in the Super Bowl, always in an AFC Championship game, and
this is his fifth straight AFC Championship game.
He did not play his rookie year, so his second year he started playing, and every year he's ever played, he has gone to an AFC Championship game.
Yeah, and now they've been to 4 of the last 6 Super Bowls or something like that.
3.
3. 4? Oh, Adam's just scratching his face. I thought he had the number.
He is downtrodden from all these questions.
I'm telling you. I like Kansas City. But Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, they're the 3 teams to beat going forward, right?
It's still a lot harder to get out of the AFC
than it is the NFC, and that won't change. It is 5. This is his 5th Super Bowl. Cool. Yeah, 5th AFC Championship.
Third Super Bowl?
3rd or 4th Super Bowl.
He's lost one, won one.
This is 3rd. All right. So good luck, and we'll get into pretty deep next week talking about the Super Bowl and maybe past Super Bowls and the greatest Super Bowl as we approach Super Bowl week.
Super Bowl.
I know which one it was. We'll get into that later. All right, so let's get into our next commercial, and if we can get some Bearcat Express love.
Do you need a delivery right now? As in go now, please? Bearcat Express has expedited shipping on hand-carried items, car, van, or pickup. Whether it's from Memphis to Augusta, Dothan to Charlotte, or even just Athens to Augusta and all points in between, we've got the drivers to get your stuff where it needs to be. Whether your passport's still on the dresser, your 7-iron isn't in your bag, or you have a dog that hates to fly, Bearcat Express with their live tracking capabilities is the team to turn to. We are the go-to courier in the Southeast. Check us out at BearcatExpress.com.
Thank you, Blair Cook, again for being a sponsor. We're happy to have Blair Cook as a sponsor of not only our show, but the Owl Show at 7 o'clock. There's Bailey. Hey, Bailey. So we're going to get into a little bit now about back in April, we did a draft show of who we thought would be the top 10 picks, and we picked a lot right. Only one for the right team, but we picked a lot of the 10 players that were in the top 10 just with the wrong team. So we're going to get into those and how successful they've been and who are the other successful rookies this year. So let's do a little recap here. Trayvon Walker was the number 1 overall pick from Georgia. Did we get a lot out of him in Jacksonville?
You know, let me say this before we start this conversation. It's so easy when rating rookies if they're on the offensive side of the board. You can look at how many targets did you get? How many times did you catch it? How many yards after contact? What about this? What about that? When you're playing defense, a lot of this stuff comes to scheme and how it all fits in. So it's very, very difficult to say yes, no, maybe so. And this entire draft was defensive people.
For the most part.
You know,
yeah.
very so it's very very tough, but the Jacksonville defense definitely stepped up in a big sort of way. Was he the number 1 player? I don't know about that. I looked up something that said they'd like a little sauce if they could have that draft again.
Yeah,
But-
probably so. Yeah, and Josh Allen was a big part of the Jacksonville defense. So
Correct.
yeah, so he had a really good year. But of course, he's not a rookie. Number 2 guy was Aiden Hutchinson. He went to Detroit. I think we both had him going to Jacksonville with the very first pick.
We did.
And he had a very successful year. Aiden Hutchinson had 52 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries. That's pretty good for somebody that's taken second in the draft. Can you expect much more from a defensive lineman that you draft in the second position?
Not when he joins the Lions.
Yeah. Exactly. No, he also played every single game and nearly every single down.
Yeah.
I mean, he came out of the box. He was durable. He wasn't fazed by the speed of the game on Sunday, and it was really easy move from Ann Arbor to Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in his own backyard. He was immediately comfortable, and he contributed immediately as well.
It was kind of fun to watch him play. It really was. He's one of those excitable guys, like a J.J. Watt or whatever, that really gets into it, and he wants to be a part of the game. So kudos to Aiden Hutchinson in the new number 2 spot. Number 3, we had Derek Stingley Jr. going to Houston. Did he even play?
He did.
9 games.
9 games?
Yep.
Okay.
He was limping around with hamstring issues, on and off all year. So, he didn't play but basically half the year, but 43 tackles in those 9 games. So, I mean, he was out there, and unfortunately his game is all about quickness and agility, and if that hamstring is not cooperating, then he's not able to do what he needs to do.
But he was also drafted by the Texans, correct?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the Texans have such a horrible defense that they don't have to. You don't have to throw the ball against the Texans. You're just running it. So it'll be interesting to see. I think with their new head coach, I think there's a bright future for him.
Yeah, I think he'll be better, and it's hard to be recognized when you're on such a crappy team, too.
It is.
Right? So it's a different game when you're doing that. Number 4 was Sauce Gardner.
The only one that we actually got right.
We actually got right in the right position, was Sauce Gardner. And he had a phenomenal year. I mean, I looked at his stats
He
today.
did. And ESPN and Bleacher Report both in their redraft
Have
put
him
him number 1.
Sure.
Right.
Well, he was
75 tackles, 2 interceptions, 20 pass breakups. It's
those are good, but the greatest stat you can ever have for football, and ATI knows this one. It's the only thing he knows that I'm getting ready to say. But man, that was so good. I wasn't prepared for how good that was going to sound. At the end of the day, I just lost. He gave me a look, and I just like swallowed my gum or something. I honestly did. I just forgot where I was going.
Well, with Sauce, I mean,
End of the
again,
day.
similar to Hutchinson, Sauce played every game and nearly every down, kept up with the speed of the game, and did I get you back?
Well, I'm finally back on my thing.
There you go.
So you have 2 different categories that you can be in pro football, and that's a Pro Bowler or All Pro. So a lot of people don't understand All Pro. There's only one team, so there's only one quarterback in All Pro, one running back in All Pro. This guy is all pro his rookie year. That's all you need to know. All pro is voted on by the players. So even when you don't know anything else, if you're all pro, everybody knows you're the baddest man walking down the street. And Sauce Gardner was that as a rookie.
Which is very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah, and the Jets had a couple of decent rookies. They had the wide receiver out of Ohio State, Garnett. Garrett, yeah.
Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
We'll talk about him in a minute.
Yep, we'll get down to him in a minute. Yep. So number 5 was Keon Thibodeau with the Giants, and he was hurt first part of the year, right? So he didn't get started until later on, but he had a decent year.
He did have a good year.
Yeah.
He did
That defense got better.
49 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries in 14 games. I mean, he was contributing.
Yeah.
So, and they needed that. The Giants did for sure.
They did, and the Giants I think they're on the upswing. We talk about Daniel Jones just about every week. I think he is the quarterback of the future in New York. I think he's got enough skills to be a serviceable quarterback if they have the running positions, if they have the wide receivers. I think he can lead a team to the playoffs and beyond, to the Super Bowl.
Well, and I just want to say, as we are regurgitating statistics for these guys from this season, this guy right here, Grady Jarrett, he'd have insane numbers if one of these guys was next to him. If he had Hutchinson or Thibodeau. So, sometimes, you look, oh, this guy didn't have good numbers. Who's he running with? So it's very difficult to say, but I think both of those defensive edge rushers had good rookie years.
Yep. Okay.
We'd like them in Atlanta.
Yeah. Akeem Okonu with Carolina was the 6th pick. What did he do?
He did so well that in the redraft, they think he should go 3rd. So that's a guy who did a lot of pancakes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I never knew they were I'm sure there was some type of statistics kept for linemen, but I didn't find out they were called percentage of passes blocked succeeded, percentage of run blocks succeeded.
Correct.
So that was pretty cool. And one of these guys, was it him? No, we'll get to it in a minute.
Well,
that was
Frank
very
Reich
successful.
is very happy to have that kid coming up, getting stronger. His second
Absolutely.
year, he'll be part of a good core up front for them.
I bet Frank Reich wishes he had McCaffrey back.
I don't think he does. I don't think he
I
does.
don't, yeah.
He'd love a young McCaffrey that he doesn't
Yeah.
have to pay all that money to.
Yeah.
But, nobody wants to pay all that money to a running back.
And / quarterback / whatever else he does, right? All right. So who was next? We had Evan Neal with the New York Giants. What did Evan Neal do in his rookie year?
Well, they changed his position, and that was a big time adjustment for him. So it wasn't the year I don't think he expected, in part because of that. I mean, he went from the left side guard to the right side tackle, and
That's a big adjustment.
It is. Everything changes your perspective of the field, your peripheral vision that you've really attuned and attenuated, for however many years. It has to be adjusted.
Yep. All right.
Absolutely, and also a lot of this is continuity. People always talk about continuity. Well, if you're a rookie, you don't know what the guy next to you, his characteristics, and so very, very difficult. Very difficult.
Yep. Number 8 is our own Atlanta Falcons, Drake London.
And they said if there was a redraft, we would take London.
Really?
I'm like, good God, I am so unimpressed with it. I'm just, give me any. No, you're taking London again, Atlanta. Thank you.
He had a lot of drop balls in the games that I watched him play.
He just appeared to me like he's a half step slower than Wilson, and
Yep.
maybe a couple of the other guys, Olave. Maybe that big body will come into play, and we'll have somebody getting him the ball, but. A little underwhelming. I wish he was resembled the gazelle a little bit more.
Yeah, that would be nice. At number 9, we had Charles Cross, drafted offensive lineman with Seattle. And what was his year like, BJ? You did some research on this guy.
Yeah, on this one, he played every game.
Huge.
And he was in his natural position, and so he was a big contributor to the way that line looked this year. and they're looking for more next year.
From Cross. All right.
Yeah.
And number 10,
In the redraft that I saw, it actually moved Cross up to 6.
did he
Did
really?
it?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. And number 10 draft pick was Garrett Wilson with the New York Jets. So we had 2 Jets in the top 10, which is pretty cool. And Garrett Wilson had a pretty good year.
And not to mention that one of the Jets was dominating as a running back. Had that rookie not gotten hurt, you might have 3 Jets in the top 10.
That's
You
true.
might. And in the redraft now, the one I saw, Garrett Wilson had moved up to 4
Right.
Oh, wow.
in that one. I mean, 83 catches, 1,100 yards.
The one I saw had Garrett Wilson at number 7. He moved up to 7.
Okay.
That's cool. So
Can I add a bonus? 'Cause
bonus away, buddy.
Love
mean-
bonuses.
we talk about the top 10, but hiding at 11 was Chris Olave.
Yep.
I mean, he was just outside that top 10, went to the Saints out of Ohio State. Redraft has him number 3 after 72 catches, 4 touchdowns, and 1,042 yards.
It's a lot of catches.
In that Saints system this year, I mean, he was productive.
He was very productive. It didn't hurt that his number 1 got hurt in week 1 against the Falcons, but yeah, I don't know. It's such a horrible quarterback in New Orleans. I don't know what his future is looking.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, those were the top 10 draft picks from this year, but there are a lot better rookies than some of these people that played it. I mean, let's look at Brock Purdy. I mean, Brock Purdy was a rookie. He didn't start till the 11th game of the year, and then played 7 and was 7-0 until he got to the playoffs and tore up his elbow, his UCL. So he was a successful rookie. But who are the other successful rookies that played that weren't in the top 10? I mean, obviously, Mr. Irrelevant, he's got to be the most successful one, right?
He
Because
is
you go
one.
from
He is one for the
262.
storybooks, that's
Yeah,
for
1
sure.
for
And it's a
2.
real shame that his elbow popped, because that really puts a big shadow about his future. But besides that, it was a storybook once that book opened up and he started writing in it.
Yep.
It was amazing.
No, he was clearly unbelievable the whole year. But you know, I don't know. I would personally, as far as somebody not in the top 10, piggybacked on one of our top teners, offensive tackle Charles Cross, but that would be Kenneth Walker III.
Yep.
And incredible year, but you know, talking about kind of moving towards Rookie of the Year conversation, he's hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to give. You know, people don't like to give awards to
People that are hurt.
to people that especially finish the season.
Yeah. Well, which would probably go against Brock Purdy because he couldn't finish the
Well,
game. But
No,
Well,
I think his is a little different because they already had to vote.
yeah, yeah. Well, we haven't voted yet.
Well, we have not voted.
No.
No, I'll throw Kenny Pickett into that pile.
Kenny Pickett?
In the redraft, they were talking about him at 6 or 7, depending on which
Oh, really?
one. You know, he went to Pitt, gets drafted by the Steelers. They literally share the same office building. So, you know, all we had to do was punch 4 on the elevator instead of 3.
And he still had a hard time beating out Trubisky half the time. So I don't.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know where that's going.
All right.
Yep.
Well, there were
But
some
he's all heart.
some of the other successful rookies was Tariq Wooden with the cornerback with Seattle, 63 tackles, 6 interceptions, 16 passes defended, 1 TD, 2 and 1 block kick. So that's pretty impressive for somebody that was taken in the 153rd spot. We mentioned Kenneth Walker, the third. He was drafted in the 41st spot. But this is where I learned about the blocking wins. Was Tyler Linderbaum, the center from the Ravens, drafted 25th, 94.7% pass block wins, 77.2% run block wins. Is that a pretty good goal?
That sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty good for
98 out of 100 times if I'm passing, you're not getting near them, and 4 out of every 5 running plays, there's a hole there. So
Yeah.
that sounds like it's probably pretty good.
So it sounded like he had a successful year.
I always feel badly for any rookie center,
Yeah,
period,
yeah.
because it is a completely thankless
The
role
most thankless job
on
in
the team.
football.
It
Yeah.
is no reward, all risk, and you really have to be in sync with the rest of the line, with the quarterback, with the system, and to step in there and be a rookie center is a really tough road to hoe.
What do you think about the top 3 wide receivers that we've been talking about that are in the top 10? All still have garbage throwing to them.
Yes.
We don't know, Olave and Wilson, we love these guys. But who's throwing to him? Who's throwing to Jake London? I don't know. Another person who had a good rookie year, had he not been shot right before the season started, I think Brian Robinson Jr. probably would have had a better year. Not a great year because he is a commander, but could have been better.
Again,
on
not a bad team, not a good team.
Correct.
How about Dameon Pierce? He didn't have a bad season for Houston. He was one of your rookies on the fantasy football team, right?
Yep. He guy from Florida. He looked really good, and on that team because they didn't have a lot of other talent, they were going to lean on him, and they did for a while.
Yep, that's awesome. There's some other things like Brock Purdy's mentioned here, Dameon Pierce. How about Christian Watson with Green Bay? Decent year, not great year.
Towards the end of the year, first 8 games, after that, pretty good. Our man Aaron really fell in love with it.
Yeah. Speaking of falling in love, we have a new sponsor. Alvin Robinson was our guest last week, and we're going to do an initial commercial for Mr. Alvin. Robert, go for it.
And just know that this is my first time reading this one.
Yeah.
Welcome to one of the most efficient and service-oriented mortgage experiences in America. Supreme Lending was founded in 1999 with one goal in mind, to improve the mortgage process. And since then, we've been doing just that. Here we deliver exceptional service and some of the fastest turn times in the industry. Experience what you would like. And with my team, we will provide you with the assistance in navigating what can be a confusing array of mortgage requirements and really make the process incredibly simple and even enjoyable. Whether this is your first mortgage loan or your 1,000th, make it a Supreme one.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alvin Robinson, for joining on board and being a sponsor of the Owls Show and Three Guys Who Love Sports.
Absolutely.
So we're happy to have you on board. So let's get into our picks for the MVP and the Rookie of the Year. BJ, you want to start us? Let's go with MVP first.
I think you have to make an argument that it's not Jalen Hurts for MVP.
Because he spent time on not playing, or
because that his leadership in the locker room and on the field has elevated the Eagles now all the way into the final Sunday of the year, and when he was not available, they did not look the same whatsoever.
That speaks volumes. Yep.
I think he was the odds-on favorite for the MVP until he got hurt.
Yep, I did too. Is he your MVP?
He is not. I'm going with Mahomes. But once again, let's just be real and say Mahomes and Jalen are 1 and 2, and guess what? They're playing. They're playing on
they're
the
playing
final
each other.
day.
Is that the reason you chose them, or because they're 1 and 2?
No. I think Mahomes deserves it, and I think if Jalen wouldn't have gotten hurt those last few weeks, I might have been swayed to go that way.
He would have had an edge, I believe, in the MVP. But I'm with you, especially after watching Mahomes on Sunday, go through what he did with that ankle sprain. That's leadership. I mean, there are people that don't play hurt, and people that play hurt get my respect a lot quicker than anybody else.
And I'm not throwing Mahomes or anybody else under the bus, but does it ever seem, on where I throw a horrible pass or I make the greatest pass, it's always that's the one I'm going to walk off and make sure everybody's looking at me to know that I'm hurt. Oh,
yeah.
Man, I know I just made that awesome pass, but did you see I was limping too? I don't know. It's what I notice when I'm watching him play.
Well, it's fun because I noticed when he rolled out to the left and had to throw back to the right, planted his right foot, that's when he got hurt, and that's when he limped off the field. It's happened 2 or 3 times during the game, but he's still out there. He's still running his team, and he made the run that led to the victory for them, right?
He did.
So God bless you, Patrick Mahomes and Harrison Butker, and go Chiefs.
Not a bad choice between those two for the MVP. But, Mahomes, has basically just kept a boat that was already up on the water cruising.
But
And
the
and-
boat he got
and-
was from Alex Smith. That boat wasn't really cruising
got
very
it.
fast. The
They-
Alex Smith ship was kind of rocking around for
Yeah,
a
but
little while.
getting that boat up on the water is well behind him at this point.
Oh, yeah,
and
he's-
they're sailing.
Oh, yeah, they got
But
some air
the,
in
Eagle,
those
the
sails.
Eagles made a huge step forward
They did.
this year.
They
And
did.
So I gave a little extra credit based on that factor. But those are, to your point, 1 and 2, and they're going to see each other on the final Sunday.
So it's the Andy Reid Bowl and the Kelsey Bowl, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's really
The-
cool.
The family Kelsey.
Yeah, first time it's ever happened, right? Two brothers
For the
playing
Super
against each
Bowl.
other in the Super
Yes.
Bowl. Yeah, and Andy Reid's just going to be tickled to death to play against Philadelphia.
He will if he wins. He
Yeah.
will not be if he loses.
All right, let's move back to the rookie MVP. I'll let Robert go first on this.
You know, when you look at the list and you look at the people, you know, Garrett Wilson had an incredible year. You're not MVP. You're not Rookie of the Year. You know, yes, 9 quarterbacks threw it to you, but we're moving on from there. Kenneth Walker III clearly helped a team that we did not think was going to be good achieve playoff. You know, achieve the playoffs. Brock Purdy is your Rookie of the Year. Period. If what you're looking for is most important rookie, I'm going with the guy who closed out the regular season with 7 straight wins and then won a couple playoff games.
All right.
I know it's weird that, you know, well, you got to play in a lot of games. Not in this one. Not for me.
BJ?
Yeah, I'd love to come at and offer some controversy to that, but that's exactly the list I walked in with, and a lot of the same logic as well. I think it's as I mentioned earlier, a terrific story for Brock Purdy. Even if he had been a second rounder, we would probably still be considering him Rookie of the Year, and the fact that he was Mr. Irrelevant makes that story even better. Tom Brady is sitting, at home on the beach today after retirement going, wow, I was 6th round. This kid was all the way at the very bottom. He was the gum. He was the
262.
gum on the underside of the table.
At the bottom of the shoe. Yeah.
Bottom of the shoe. There
Yeah,
we
that
go.
was crazy. So I'm going to take a different take. I love the Brock
hope.
Purdy story. I think the 7 games is a lot to win before you lose your first game. And can you really say he lost this game? Because he
Not at all.
played 1 series, right? And that was it. So he got hurt and didn't get to play. I think Walker's a great story. But I got to go with I'm kind of tied between 2, Sauce Gardner.
I know that's what you're going to say.
But there's another one that we haven't even talked about that I think is very pertinent to his team's success, and that's Isaiah Pacheco.
Well, he's the reason why they're doing well now, but
Well, he's just like Purdy. He didn't start the year out playing much, but the more he played, he became the running game. I mean, they started out with Edward St. Hilaire, and I can't remember who the other running back was.
they've run through a few.
They ran through, but Pacheco has been the guy the last 6 or 7
They
weeks.
got McKinnon that they like.
Yeah,
to
McKinnon. Yeah, Jared McKinnon. He's a Sprayberry High School graduate. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah. So he went, and there's another guy from Sprayberry in the Super Bowl. Carrick posted something about it this week. So there's 2 Sprayberry Yellow Jackets in the Super Bowl this weekend, or next weekend, which is really cool. But I would have to go with Pacheco just for the same reasons that you said Purdy. I think he came on, he became the face of the running game for for the Chiefs. And so if I had to make a vote, I would go with Pacheco and Gardner as the 2. But
Make that bet a small one because you're going to win a lot of money if he does get called.
who, Pacheco?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But it's a fun time. This is a great time of football, but it's also a very sad time for me because once football over, it hurts till it's not again. Till we do the draft show in April. But I mean, it's been a great football season. Parity has truly hit the AFC for those 3 teams, but the NFC was so equal this year. You never knew who was going to go. Philadelphia flashed, and then they fell, and then they flashed again. So Philadelphia is obviously the cream of the crop for the NFC, based on what I saw this past weekend.
Is this Philadelphia team? What are they going to be like next year? I mean, and I'm not. is this a team that's just going to dominate for a few straight years, or is this
Like a
team
Kansas
that
City or
could
a-
be 8-7 or 8-9 real easy next year?
I don't know. They've got a good receiving core over
They
there,
got a good defense too.
and a couple of good running backs too.
Gainwell and
Gainwell
Miles Sanders
and Sanders, yeah.
Austin Scott.
So I don't know. I think more of Philadelphia falling back to the rest of the NFC. I think some other teams will gain and catch up with Philadelphia as opposed to Philadelphia running away like a Kansas City or a Cincinnati or a Buffalo. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's what.
Well, one of the very first shows that I ever did with you, we were talking about what's going to happen this year, and I gave you two teams, and I said these two quarterbacks better get it right because the clock is ticking. One was Tua. That didn't work out so well this year. The other one was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And so the two Alabama guys, opposite sides of the spectrum forever, I believe at this point.
Yeah, I think two is done. I hate to say it.
He's close if he's not.
I hope he is for his own well-being. I loved him as a player, loved him as a person, but I think he's done. So, BJ, you won't be on with us next week, so give us your thoughts on the Super Bowl and who you think will win it.
Well, I appreciate that. I mentioned earlier that Eagles 7 running touchdowns in the last 2 games. I think that's where the Chiefs are going to have to stand up on defense and shut that down. If they can do that, then I don't think it'll be close, but I do think it'll be a close game, but still taking the Chiefs in the end.
Taking
All
the
right.
Chiefs.
Taking the Chiefs. I'm yet to make up my mind, but I'm leaning Chiefs, but we'll see by next week. So we're out of time. Guys, thanks for being with us as always. BJ, great job. Glad
Chuck,
you came
thank
on
you.
with us.
Robert, real pleasure.
And guys, just don't forget to know your numbers, take care of yourselves, go get your prostate checked, and we'll talk to you next week. 3 guys, we're out.